Imagine something really strange for a moment. What if every moment of your life already exists? Your first day as a baby. This exact moment right now while you are watching or reading this. Even your very last breath someday far in the future. What if all of those moments are not simply gone or waiting to happen? What if they all exist together, all at once, like pages in a giant book? When you read a book, you only see one page at a time, but the whole story is already there. The beginning, the middle, and the end are all inside the book, even if you have not reached the last page yet. Now, imagine that your life, and maybe even the whole universe, is like that book. To us, time feels like it moves forward. Yesterday is gone. Tomorrow has not arrived yet. We live moment by moment. But what if that is only how humans experience time? What if there is a way to see all of time at once? More than 1,500 years ago, a philosopher named Boethius asked a huge question. What if God does not move through time the way humans do? Boethius believed that God does not wait for the future to happen. God does not look back at the past like a memory. Instead, God sees all of time at once. To God, the past, present, and future are not separate. They are all part of one eternal reality. That is a very big idea. In this video, we are going to explore what that might mean for reality, free will, consciousness, and your own life. And we will ask one of the deepest questions ever. What if time is not the biggest truth about reality? What if time is just the way the human mind understands the world? Who was Boethius? Boethius lived a very long time ago, during the time when the ancient Roman world was falling apart. He was a philosopher, a government leader, and a religious thinker. He studied some of the greatest ideas from thinkers like Plato and Aristotle, and he also thought deeply about God. But his life became very tragic. Boethius was put in prison and sentenced to death. While he was waiting to be executed, he wrote his most famous book, called The Consolation of Philosophy. That title basically means how philosophy can comfort us when life is painful. While he was locked away, Boethius lost almost everything: his power, his wealth, his freedom, and his safety. So he began asking some of the biggest questions a person can ask. Why do people suffer? Is everything already planned? Do we really have free will? If God knows the future, are our choices still real? Boethius did not want easy answers. He wanted to understand reality at the deepest level. And one of his biggest ideas was this: maybe the problem is not that God's knowledge controls us. Maybe the problem is that humans only see time in a very limited way. Think about your own life. You cannot live yesterday again. You can remember it, but you cannot go back to it. You cannot jump into tomorrow. You can imagine it, but you cannot experience it yet. The only thing you can actually experience is right now. But even right now disappears almost immediately. As soon as you notice a moment, it becomes the past. So human life is kind of like standing on a tiny line between what has already happened and what has not happened yet. That is how we experience time. One moment comes, then another moment comes, then another. We live in a sequence, like walking step by step down a path. But Boethius said, God is not like that. God does not experience one moment after another. God does not need to wait for tomorrow. God does not need to remember yesterday. Instead, God sees everything at once. What does eternity really mean? When people hear the word eternity, they often think it means a really, really long time. Like millions of years, billions of years, trillions of years. But Boethius said eternity is not just endless time. Eternity means being outside time completely. That means God is not simply very old. God is not sitting somewhere watching years pass by forever. Instead, God exists beyond time. To understand this, imagine a winding road through the mountains. A traveler walking on the road can only see a little bit ahead. They do not know what is around the next turn. To them, the journey happens step by step. But now imagine someone standing high above the road on a mountain. From up there, they can see the whole road at once. They can see the beginning, the middle, and the end. The traveler experiences the road one step at a time. The person above the road sees the entire path all together. Boethius believed God sees time like that. God does not guess the future. God does not predict it like a weather forecast. God simply sees all moments at once because from God's point of view, all moments are present. Your childhood, today, ancient civilizations, distant futures, stars being born, and stars dying are all seen together in what Boethius called the eternal present. To humans, reality seems to be changing and becoming. To God, reality simply is. This leads to a very important question. If God already sees everything you will ever do, are you actually free? If God already knows your choices, does that mean your life is already decided? Boethius thought very carefully about this. His answer was this: knowing something is not the same as causing it. For example, imagine you are watching someone walk down the street. You can see them walking, but your seeing them does not force them to walk. You are observing what they are doing. You are not controlling their legs. Boethius said God's knowledge works in a similar way. God seeing your choices does not mean God is forcing you to make them. You still make your choices. You still decide. The difference is that humans see choices as they happen one by one, while God sees all choices at once from outside time. From your point of view, your future is still open. You are still choosing what to do. From God's point of view, all your choices are already visible. So Boethius believed that free will and God's knowledge do not destroy each other. They just exist on different levels. Humans experience life moment by moment. God sees life as a complete whole, a surprising connection to modern science. What makes Boethius so interesting is that his old idea sounds a little bit like some ideas in modern physics. Albert Einstein, one of the most famous scientists ever, showed that time is not as simple as people once thought. Before Einstein, many people thought time was the same everywhere. 1 second was 1 second for everyone in the universe. But Einstein's theory of relativity showed that time can be different depending on speed and gravity. For example, time can move slightly differently for someone traveling very fast compared to someone standing still. That means time is not just one simple clock ticking the same way for everyone. Some scientists even think of the universe like a giant four-dimensional block. In this idea, the past, present, and future all exist together, almost like the whole story of the universe is already there. We feel like time is flowing because our minds move through it, moment by moment. That sounds surprisingly close to what Boethius suggested long ago. He did not have modern physics. He did not know about Einstein. He did not know about space-time. But he still had the idea that the flow of time might not be the deepest truth about reality. Maybe time feels like it flows because of how human minds work. Maybe underneath that feeling, reality is more complete and timeless than we imagine. Now, let's think about consciousness. Consciousness means your awareness, your ability to think, feel, notice, wonder, and experience life. Most of the time, our minds are busy with time. We think about what happened yesterday. We worry about what might happen tomorrow. We plan, remember, hope, and fear. But sometimes, time seems to almost disappear. Maybe this happens when you are listening to beautiful music, or when you are deeply focused on drawing, writing, playing a sport, or building something, or when you are looking at the stars and feel amazed, or when you feel deep love for someone, or when you are very calm and quiet. In moments like that, you may not think much about the past or future. You are simply present. Many spiritual traditions talk about this idea. They say that deep peace or wisdom comes from entering the eternal now. That does not mean the clock stops. It means your mind stops being so trapped by worrying about before and after. Boethius might say that these moments give us a tiny glimpse of something deeper. Maybe human consciousness is not completely separate from eternity. Maybe our minds are like small windows. Most of the time, the window is cloudy, that sometimes for a moment it clears, and we sense something bigger than ordinary time. Here is another way to imagine it. Picture a huge landscape at night. The whole landscape is already there. The trees, hills, rivers, rocks, flowers, and paths. But you only have a flashlight. When you shine the flashlight, you see one small part at a time. That is like human consciousness. We move our attention from one moment to another, like a flashlight moving across a place that already exists. But God, in Boethius's idea, does not need a flashlight. God sees the entire landscape all at once. We see pieces. God sees the whole. Boethius also wanted people to stop imagining God as just a bigger version of a human being. Many people picture God as someone sitting somewhere, waiting, reacting, getting surprised, changing plans, or watching events happen one after another. But Boethius said that cannot be right. If God is truly infinite, then God does not change the way humans do. Why? Because change means moving from one state to another. For example, if you are hungry, then you eat, and then you are full. You changed because you needed something. But Boethius believed God lacks nothing. God is already complete. So God does not need to become wiser, stronger, happier, or more complete. God simply is. This is hard for humans to understand because our minds work step by step. We think in order. First this happens, then that happens, then something changes. But eternity is not step by step. Eternity is all at once. That is why many spiritual traditions describe ultimate reality as stillness, silence, or unchanging awareness. Not because it is empty or boring, but because it is beyond the rushing movement of time. God is not floating inside the river of time. Instead, God is like the deeper reality in which the whole river exists. What does this mean for your life? So what does all of this mean for you? It may mean that your life is more meaningful than it seems when you only look at it through time. From our point of view, life can seem fragile. Moments disappear. People grow older. Things change. Good times pass. Sad times come. Everything seems temporary. But from the perspective of eternity, Boethius believed nothing is truly lost. Every moment of love, courage, beauty, pain, learning, and wonder is held forever in God's eternal knowledge. Where life is not just vanishing second by second, it is known, it matters, it belongs to a bigger whole. Maybe this is why humans often feel that life must mean more than just surviving. Maybe this is why people search for meaning, truth, love, and purpose. Deep inside, we may sense that reality is not only about things disappearing. Maybe reality is also about presence. Maybe the deepest truth is not that everything is slipping away. Maybe the deepest truth is that every moment is held in eternity. Remember, Boethius wrote these ideas while he was in prison, waiting to die. That makes his thinking even more powerful. He was not writing from a comfortable place. He was facing fear, suffering, and the end of his life. But instead of giving in to despair, he looked for a deeper truth. He believed reality was not just chaos. He believed life was not just random events falling into nothingness. He believed all moments were held together in one eternal reality. To him, the past is not completely gone. The future is not completely absent. Everything exists within the eternal awareness of God. And maybe human consciousness is a small reflection of that timeless reality. We live in a world that is always rushing. People are always checking the time, finishing homework, meeting deadlines, running to the next activity, thinking about tomorrow, worrying about the future. Everything feels fast. But Boethius reminds us of something amazing. Underneath all that movement, there may be a stillness that never changes. Underneath the rushing river of time, there may be an eternal presence.